Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today, we got another gem of a show because they're always a gem. Many gems here. What to do before you break up. Pondering breakup? Pondering a breakup? Let's talk about it. There's a story that got sent in about this topic specifically. I've talked about it many times with the 1,000 videos I have up. Why not do it again in a fresh day? All paths lead to now. So let's get into it. What to do before you break up? Really good question. And I think a lot of times people come to me post breakup when the fire's crackling, and it's actually a lot better to come to me before you break up to get clear on why you're doing this. And I've had clients that have come to me years back that come back to me while they're in a relationship real time to ask for advice, unpack some things, and get clear. Because breakups are going to happen regardless if you get good advice or not get good advice or you think it out. But once you do break up, it's really hard to go back. It's really hard to go back on your words. And so you need to realize if it's because sometimes when you do break up, you go, oh, I was unreasonable, I overreacted. Those are the kind of breakups that tend to linger longer with regret, or you say things you didn't mean. A lot of times people are scared to be directly honest in why they really have problems in the relationship, and so they bring up petty things that your partner doesn't really understand, and you don't get to the heart of the problem. So today I'm going to have a list of 10 things to do before you break up, or if you were to break up. And some of these things I've talked about before, but like I said, this is something that you should keep in mind, whether you're single right now or in a relationship, because this is very useful. Number one, talk to a coach or someone you trust who is in a good relationship that you admire. You admire how they handle relationships and how they look at life. This might not be your best friend. This might not be your family member, but it's someone that you look at that's in a good relationship or handles relationships well. All right? For example, let's say you have a good buddy from high school, okay? And you love watching sports together. You've been best friends for years, 10 years, 15 years. But they're not the person you'd go to for relationship advice because they've been in some breakups. They're not a very compassionate person when it comes to that. So leave those conversations to where you guys really bond and have rapport. And like I said, talk to a coach or a therapist, someone that you can go to that's going to be objective and knows a thing or two about breakups and relationships, and unpack it with them. And I would add, for me, if you send your story and what's going on, I've had many people do this, even though I hang my hat on breakups. I can tell you if you have a legitimate reason to break up or not. And right there, a lot of times people are questioning, is this a good enough reason to break up, or am I in the wrong here? They get in this gray area and it really messes up the relationship. So number two, be honest with what would be the ideal situation for you. Is that possible? So a lot of times you're blaming the other person for who they are and what they've done, but you're not thinking about what is it that you really want. And probably you're not thinking about that because it's not even on the table with the person you're with. Number three, can the problems be fixed? I've mentioned this ad nausea. Sometimes there's problems out there, such as a mother-in-law that isn't going away anytime soon. That's one of those things you can't. You know, someone has an alcohol problem, they go to rehab and get rid of it. Someone has a money problem, they can get a better job. People don't really get rid of their moms out of the picture, right? So things like that, if they're continuous and they're not fixable, You got to be honest with yourself, and that's a time to consider breaking up. Sabina, how you doing? Can you forgive them? Something happened. They did something wrong. They crossed your boundaries. They crossed your morals and values. Can you forgive them? Good question. Do you see them changing, or did you just change? Now, this is an interesting question because it's one of the biggest reasons people break up, but they don't see it that way, is somebody changed who they are through their job, through their religion, through their friends, through their outlook, and you don't like it, and you don't see it changing anytime. You like the person you first met. I've actually been in a relationship where I was the one to change. I've been in a relationship where they were the one to change, and both resulted in breakups. Because change is such a broad word. We would have to unpack this in a live coaching session to explain how it works. But a common example is the couple that's together in their mid to late 20s. They were first or second loves, or maybe a first or second relationship, but they were just madly in love, great passionate intimacy, lived together, and then all of a sudden out of college, or someone got their first serious job, someone gets a new set of single friends, and everything changes. And they're like, what happened? I want the old you back. They're probably not changing back anytime soon. In those situations, that's an inevitable breakup unless you want to change with them. Number 6, what is this partner lacking? Can you live with that? I think that's a really good question, because there's always something that your partner's lacking. I don't think there's any perfect relationship out there. There's perfect moments. Right? There's moments that you're just like, that was an incredible night out. Everything went right. I'm so in love. And then the next day something can happen and you can have another moment where you're out of that. So what is this person lacking? And to be specific, maybe character-wise, looks-wise, be honest with yourself. If there's something that really bothers you about their appearance, you got to be honest with yourself. Is there something bothering you about their financials? Is there something bothering you about how they treat other people? And can you live with that? Instead of just blaming them for who they are constantly. You get to 2, 3, 4 years, oh yeah. And then what happens is people get locked in. I call it typecasting. Robert De Niro's gonna play maybe a certain role in films, and if he doesn't play that role in films, the audience goes, wait a minute, right? This isn't Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro's made a lot of movies, right? But I'd say he's definitely typecasted. Denzel Washington, probably one of the other ones, definitely typecasted. Denzel Washington, I could never see playing a role where he's insecure, having trouble with life. I just can't see it. He doesn't play those roles. And if he did, people would be like, what the hell? Now, where am I going with this? In relationships, you typecast your partner after a few years, and when let's say they make a change. They do something out of the ordinary. Let's just go with someone's really massively overweight, and they start a gym program or a yoga class or Zumba or one of these things, right? If for years that person's been fat, there's a good chance the partner might say something like, yeah, you're not going to stick with the class. You never do. I mean, I have a friend, his wife's quite lazy, and they're always talking about maybe doing some exercise or taking some classes, and he'll say it about her, well, she's not going to stick with it. There's no support there. There's no belief there. And maybe he's right, but you get my point. He's already typecast her that this is how she is. So it'd be shocking to him if she did otherwise. And a lot of people like familiarity and comfort and knowing who they're with. If you were to get number 7, if you were together long term, what would have to change? Great question. If you get through this period of thinking about breaking up, which if you're together 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even a year, you have the thought go through your head. Should I break up? I'm really pissed about this. If you were together long term, what would have to change? That's a different question to ask. Well, I definitely wouldn't want to be with someone that smokes cigarettes forever. Well, I definitely wouldn't want to be with someone that refused to do any kind of exercise because it's okay now, but in the future they're going to be a tank. Number 8, is this breakup due to timing and circumstances? Great question. When a breakup comes up, timing and circumstances, there's not much you can do with that. That's usually not you, it's not them, it's decision time. It's like, at this time of my life, I got to put my career first. At this time of my life, I got to put college first. That's timing and circumstances. At this time of my life, I just lost a family member. I want to move back to live closer to my family. And right now, I can't be in a serious relationship. I've heard that one before, and people are like, I can't believe she did this. Well, timing and circumstances, not personal. Number 9, what's the trade-off? Great question. So if you're pondering a breakup, if you're thinking about a breakup, what's going to be the trade-off? What are you going to give in to stay in this relationship? What are you going to accept that you might not like? And what are you going to gain? And people, all your decisions are based on this. It's really hard to make a decision that doesn't have something you're giving in on, right? So even when you go and buy a car, right? You go and buy the car. Let's say the car is 20 grand. Let's say you make payments. You're excited about the car. You feel like, I can make the payment of $300 a month, no problem. But there is a trade-off. You're saying, I'm going to be minus $300 every month. I might have to watch it a little bit. I'm also going to gain having a new car and being able to be more comfortable when I drive around. But for every month, I'm going to be minus $300. Can I handle that trade-off? It might be real easy for someone making 10 grand a month, right? There's always a trade-off, though, especially when you're thinking about breaking up. Can you deal with the parts about your partner that are probably not going to change? The annoying things. Number 10, realize breakups are hard to go back on. So if you're acting out of pure emotion, take some time away to collect your thoughts. This is a big one. Okay? This is a big one. If you're on pure emotion, anger, fear, take some time away. Talk to a breakup coach like myself. Don't pull the trigger on breaking up because you can't take those words back very easily. And it's a very big uphill battle to beg someone back or say you didn't mean it. It just doesn't work that easy. All right, we got 6 on deck today. Thank you very much. If you, Roller Girl, Jesse Chapman, Sabina, Chuckster, all welcome. 6 on deck, 2 likes. I'll go into the story. I started a little bit late today, but let's get into it. I'll probably redo this video maybe in a shorter version. Coach Mac, please help me here. Not a complete breakup story, more like maybe like a maybe breakup. I've been living with this woman for about 6 months now. It's been really good, almost too good to be true. It started out that I actually own a duplex, and she rented the studio apartment I own next door. For the first 2 months, we had mostly short exchanges of hi and goodbyes, but she's always extra sweet. And then some nights she'd actually bring some sort of gift or food. It was sweet. I didn't put too much weight on it as I wasn't super attracted to her. The thing about it is she's actually pretty, great lips, good body, nice teeth. Nice teeth is underrated. I wish I had better teeth too. A woman with nice teeth. It really helps the smile, doesn't it? But her style of clothes is like the 80s. But even less cool. So I'm thinking Madonna? Yeah, when you think about it, the 80s. Yeah, it's not the style I would be attracted to. Plus, she puts on about a pound of makeup. It's not like you can tell someone to change their style so you'll date them. It's a great point. I mean, you'd probably just eliminate her right off the bat, but now you're growing some feelings because she's been sweet and she's been coming around. So you're noticing. Here's the thing. Because she's sweet, because she's available, because she's in your orbit, because she's in your daily mix, okay, she's becoming more attractive to you. Your mind's saying, let me build a case for this because this is a real possibility. And by the way, when you go and date someone, you can have a bad date or they could have been having a bad day. But if you see someone that you live close by or they work with you, they can become more and more attractive over time. Have you ever had that happen? Anyone in the chat right now where you weren't very attracted to someone that you went to college with or worked with or someone in your building, in your apartment building, and then over time as you see them again and again, and part of it is they're just friendly, nice, kind, or sweet. This doesn't usually happen with someone that's rude to you. So the fact that she's coming by, he says here and there for a couple months, bringing him a gift or food, just being sweet and kind, is actually building up her attraction and therefore dropping the walls of, yeah, she dresses like she's from the 80s, right? So she continued to show light interest or friendly interest. One day during her pop-in visit, I invited her for dinner. She declared instantly we were just friends. I said, yeah, okay. So this is one of those things where it might be true to her. If she's a prude woman, if she's guarded, there are women out there, someone would say, oh, yeah, she wants you. She's coming over every day. She probably just wants it, right? There are women out there that are prude and highly, highly conservative, and this is how they keep their guard up. And he handled it beautifully by just saying, yeah, okay. Because it sounds like he doesn't have that strong of feelings yet either. We ate and talked a bit, nothing special. We actually don't have a lot in common. So you got a few strikes against her. You don't have a lot in common. She dresses like the 80s and wears a pound of makeup. It's tough to overcome, bud. But I do like the fact that she doesn't drink or smoke cigarettes, something my ex did too much of. So right there, she gets brownie points extra for that because you dealt with that in the past, so you know how bad that is. It was a good exchange. A few nights later, I was having some beers and I invited her over. One thing led to another and we slept together. So that tells me that even though she said she just wants to be friends, she was attracted to you. She's pretty much been staying over my place every night. Not the way I like to start a relationship at all, but god damn, I have no complaints about her. She doesn't press me when I go out with friends. She loves cooking for me, and she just really likes to take care of me. I can tell she really loves me with all her heart. She's 32 and only had 2 boyfriends prior to me, and those are the only 2 guys she's been with, and I believe her because she is a conservative woman by nature. I'm 42, and I can tell she's never been with a guy like me that has my level of confidence. Well, I'll just believe you. There's a reason women are attracted to older men, and one of them is confidence, the way you carry yourself. You don't overreact to things as much, probably. Her last boyfriend was massively jealous and controlling. So there you go. You appreciate that she doesn't smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol, and she probably appreciates that you're not jealous and controlling. So you both elevate those things. She said she only stayed with him out of pity. Wow, that's a horrible reason to stay with someone. All said, my problem is my job is moving me to another time zone, far away. I could be gone for up to 2 years. I'm excited about the job move, the money, the career path is great. It's only been 6 months, and I do appreciate this woman and could see her being long-term, but I'm not in no way attached. Well, you won't know till you move, right? A lot of people think that, right? She's all over you right now, so she's in your frame. The relationship feels very smooth for you because it seems like you're in control. She loves you very much, but you're not attached. You won't, like I said, you won't know the ramifications until you actually move and miss her, and how long you're actually alone, and your feelings wherever you're moving to. Your environment of where you're moving to is going to count. I've told her about the move, and she said whatever problem arises, there's a solution, and that she'll cherish the time we have now. She's very into Buddhism, very spiritual, which I like. I know I'll miss her, but I'm going to make the move. I don't believe in long distance, but I may have to have her manage my duplex, so that could keep us tied. Well, I mean, if she's trustworthy, okay. I don't know if it's the best move, but if she's already a tenant, I suppose it's okay. Being that you have such a good relationship, what's going to be the expectation of that relationship if she takes care of your duplex? You know, are you going to stay in a relationship? That you just got to be crystal clear when you leave what that is. I'd consider bringing her with me, but it's not an option because of her job. So we've 2 months left and wondering, do we stay in contact until we meet again? Or do I just go all in on moving and stop talking to her? Well, that's a choice you're going to have to make for yourself. He writes, writing that doesn't seem like an option. I'm assuming that you say stay out of contact with her. If I wasn't moving, I could see us growing into something, but I've done long distance and it just doesn't work. What's your take? Well, the odds are against you in long distance, if you're in a different time zone especially. The fact that you're 42, you might be able to do it better than you would if you were 32 or 22, right? And the fact that you guys got this special connection, she's conservative, so you trust her. You don't believe she's been with many men, so you trust her. That goes a long way. Compare it if you thought she was flirtatious and extremely outgoing, it would be much more difficult. What I would say is, do you have the ability to come back and visit regularly? That would be the game changer, at least once a month. Having a FaceTime relationship for 2 years, yeah, I would say, you got a 10 percentile chance of making that work, and it would take a huge amount of give from your end in the regards of, not opening yourself up to meeting new women to where you're moving to. And if you're as confident as you say you are, you probably want to leave the door open to meet some. The ideal relationship is someone that lives nearby, okay? And people are getting away from this more and more. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It doesn't mean you can't have long-distance relationships. Long-distance relationships are easier than ever before because we don't have to write letters anymore. We have FaceTime. And even there's cyber sex or whatever you want to call it. I mean, my clients are telling me about it all the time, right? That they get naked with each other on camera. Okay. Who am I to say that doesn't work for you? Not really my thing at this point. I would prefer actual in-your-space intimacy, one-on-one. And I think that if you're okay with that, fine. But you're sacrificing something. And you have to have a finish line with long-distance relationships. So, in 2 years, is it rock solid that you're going to move back, or is it iffy? Or are you able to, or is she able to come visit you? So if you could visit her once a month and she could visit you once a month, okay, maybe you can work it. Once a month is kind of, if you can't meet that much more than that, it's pretty difficult. I would say that if she's going to watch your duplex and you want to see how things go, you'll know in the first 2 or 3 months, if you're annoyed with having the time change and talking on FaceTime. I've done a couple long distance relationships, and right off the bat, this isn't going to work. And you'll know and she'll know, and you'll both give in quite quickly. But like I said, if you have a plan where you can actually see each other, that would be the difference maker, I'd say. And it's good that you wrote this letter, because I think probably I bubbled up some things that you weren't thinking of. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, Brett Price, can I call you BP? Are you still on deck? My girlfriend of 1.5 years just ended it because she is going through depression. She told me that she still loves me and that she tried everything before ending it. She said she just needs space to figure things out. Should I just give her space and hope she comes back? I would say give her space for her depression. I would say give her space because she asked for it. Accept why she broke up, because, correct me if I'm wrong, BP, you don't have depression right now. And have you had depression in the past? So you're not an expert on this, nor are you going to have the utmost compassion or patience. So in that particular case, right? Listen to her and tell her basically, look, I respect that. If you need me, you know where to find me. The idea of hoping she comes back. Okay. I mean, if this is a fresh wound, right. So this is the big one. There's a lot of people out here with different mental illnesses, and I'm not an expert on all of them. Bipolar, different, depression, anxiety. I don't know if we call that a mental illness or a stage. For some people, it's chronic depression, which would be that. But if she's saying that she needs space and time, the best thing you can do is actually give it to her. And not try to figure out some answers to something you've never even dealt with. Right? It's like if you don't know what you don't know. And so she's navigating this. She's being very honest with you. She's saying it's not you, it's my depression. And my question would be, is she getting professional help for that? Or what is she doing to combat that? And was this on deck 1.5 years in, or was this sparked by something, BP? So you're 1.5 years, I've talked about this before. You don't know the person that well. And especially BP, if you met online, which is very common now, you have no background on this person. And I don't want to scare people away from dating apps and meeting people online, because that's not my angle on this. I'm just saying, when something comes up and you're like, where did that come from? You had no history on this person, right? Much different than when you date someone you've known for a little while. Yeah, well, let her go to the therapy. Let her work it out. Tell her you understand where she's coming from in regards to needing to do this on her own. And the best thing you can do in a breakup, when it's not you, right? Accept it. Don't say sorry. Don't try to fix it. You're not, right? It's like someone asked me to come over and do anything to help them fix their car. I'm a helpful friend. I'll go out of my way for you if you want to talk about something, because that's something I'm good at. Right? You want to talk about your relationship? Something I'm good at, something I put in time on. I've had experience. I've had breakups. I've read a lot of books on it. Right? You ask me to come over and help you fix your car, and I'm going to say, no, I know nothing. I have no skills as a mechanic. Oh, Matt, can you come over? I really need help over here. Well, I'll DJ the radio while you work on the car. I'll sit there and talk to you, but it's the same. If you think about it, it's the same thing. Someone's got depression. You've never had it before. You don't know what it's like. You've never overcome depression. How are you going to figure it out for them? They tell you, I need some time and space to figure this out. I got to go to my therapist. Okay. I accept that. I understand. Hope that she comes back? Not for too long. You still got to live your life, BP. Right? She just started going to therapy again. We were seeing each other for 6 months before we made it official. Well, there you go. Yeah, like Sabina said, if you want to write your full story in, or you want to talk in a coaching session, unpack it. This is pretty cut and dry, though. A lot of times when people come to me for coaching, there's something unclear. Is there anything unclear? Is there anything, Brett, that you're like, something's not right here? I don't believe she really has depression, or you're thinking it's you. Those are the things you want to get clear on. What's up, Justin Brown? Top 10 at the beginning was really good, coach. Harvested my mind. Grasped quite a bit. Very thought-provoking. Well, thanks, Chuckster. You're an intelligent being. Women that like to shit test tend to increase the odds against you over time. What do you mean by that specifically, Clutch? Women like to shit test you. Women that like to shit test tend to increase the odds against you over time. Increase the odds of what? I think I know what you're saying, but I'd rather ask than assume. I know that 80s styles, many older ladies wear it. They were young in the 80s, so still living it. But I don't know. You know what? To each their own. To each their own on style. It's kind of funny. There's a guy I know that's quite wealthy, and he was in the fashion industry, and he dresses in black all the time. And I've asked him about it, and he got offended by it. He wears a black V-neck shirt every day, and black shoes, and he's like, do you ever want some fashion advice or anything like that? And in my head, I'm like, you look like you work at the makeup counter, or you work at a salon in the Castro. But who's to say what style's an opinion, right? So if you're not attracted to someone's style, though, I think style blends with some of your characteristics and personality. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if you go out with your girlfriend, or you go out with a guy that you're embarrassed with their style. Now, I will say this. I have known women that are able to buy their men clothes or their boyfriend clothes and literally change the guy's style because the guy doesn't really care. He's not really into fashion. If she buys him a polo shirt or something she likes, he'll wear it. So that can happen. It doesn't usually happen that way for men. Men don't usually, men usually like sexy. Okay? Sexy, maybe sexy conservative. But no, at any time, Clutch, they can't be wearing the camo pants. That's a no-no. Women in camo does not work. Brand new Skinner, I just want to congratulate you on the Bulls. They look nice. They look real nice. That was a hell of a makeover they did. That GM did a good job this year. No, she has been suffering for a couple of years. When we first started seeing each other, everything was great, but since November, she has been struggling with it. During the summer, she ended it due to depression and also because she said she didn't feel loved. Okay, so therefore, I wrote her a letter saying I would make her a priority, which led to us getting back together 2 weeks later. So this is kind of a red flag here, okay? This is kind of a red flag here, BP. I know you think you're... Do you feel like before she said she didn't feel loved that you were doing the best you could and that you've had... How old are you, BP, and how many relationships have you had prior to this? Maybe... Do you want to call in, Brett? I don't have my cord in with me. We can do this right now. Saywana Johnson, sir, what shall we do just after the breakup? Send in your story to writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com, and we'll unpack it in a YouTube video or on this channel. Or if you want to book a session, you gotta write out your story. And if you can't afford to do coaching with me, write out your story. And electric just had a light just went twinkling. Write out your story. What happened? Detail it. And then what do you want moving forward? If you want to do that right now and send me an email, I'll unpack it right now on this live stream because I got the juice. Do you want that? And am I saying that right? Suwana Johnson? I like that name, Suwana. You look like you work at the makeup counter. He does. It's funny because he's giving me fashion tips, and I was like, dude. It's like he looks like Bruno's little cousin. This time she said she is just emotionally numb and doesn't have feelings towards anything or anyone. 23 years old, and I've had 4 relationships. I wasn't doing my best before we broke up the first. Well, here's... If you're dealing with someone that doesn't feel loved, that might not be you. See, it's like I just had a client recently that she kept telling him that he wasn't doing enough financially, like taking her on enough trips. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom with her kid that he wasn't a father to, it wasn't his blood kid, but he was willing to be a stepdad to. And she wanted to get married. She wanted a house. She wanted him to sell his condo, right? And so everything came back to that. And the problem is sometimes someone has a bucket, right? And the bucket has holes in it. And they go, oh, I'm not loved enough. And you keep filling the bucket, and the bucket just has holes in it because she's never going to... Part of her problem with depression, I bet you, is that she doesn't feel loved herself. She doesn't like who she is. Right? That's what I would venture to say. And so her breaking up is a way to reestablish that you love her so much. But if you break up to make up, and this is her way of validating your love, look out, because you're entering into a playbook long term that's going to be a roller coaster ride, and she's running the show. Right? If you've been in 4 relationships, has anyone else told you they didn't feel loved enough by you? That's a lot by 23, dude. It's a tendency to increase the criteria they present whenever they feel they need to test your masculinity. God, you are an academic, Clutch, the way you write. It's a tendency to increase the criteria they present whenever they feel the need to test your masculinity. I like it. You could write a textbook. The time she said she is just emotionally not okay. Kazar Alawar, I think my 4-month LDGF got smothered by how much we texted. She didn't want space until a point she blocked me. After 10 days, I called her. She unblocked me for 2 days. We texted very little. Then she blocked me again. I called the same day. She hung up. I didn't bother again. Now it's been like 2 weeks, no contact. Should I wait for her to reach out, or what's going on with the long distance? How often do you get to see each other? So you're in 4 months. All right, here's the thing about long distance. Listen to me, please. Okay, if I can give you the best advice on a long distance relationship, how often are you able to see each other in person and have physical intimacy? Maybe that's too direct. How often do you get to see each other in person? Once a month? Is there a finish line of when you're going to be moving back? Start with those things. If there's no finish line and you're not able to see each other once a month, I would start to move in a different direction. I wasn't doing best before we broke up. Sawana Johnson. Mac, I've been talking to my first ex. That originally led me to your work. Crazy what a few years will do to some ex's attraction. She does all of the chasing. Well, I'm not surprised, Skinner. You're a good dude. You're a smart guy, too. Over the years in the live stream, you shed a lot of light. You're an interesting cat. She said she is so happy we got back together the first time because she felt so loved. Right now, she thinks that she just can't put everything into the relationship. Well, let me ask you the golden question. Let me ask you the golden question, BP. What was her previous relationships like? Golden questions. And what was her parents' relationship or caretakers like? And this will tell you a lot. This is like therapy 101. You know, it's like, give me the goods on that and we can go from there. Is that a good thing for you? Yeah, it's crazy, Skinner. You know, I've got this last month a lot of the repeat clients with new relationships that came to me for relationships 2 or 3 years ago. Time's flying, man. Time is flying. But the good thing is now when I talk to those people, and I've never talked to you in a live coaching, but it's like talking to an old friend, and they don't need to unpack a lot. I remember everything we talk about. So I got a file in my head on them. And now they got a go-to person. They don't have to look around the internet. Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to talk to? Now that we got 2-3 years, they know I'm not going anywhere. And so they got someone to talk to that they got some confidence in, and I got confidence in them. In the previous relationship, he was very emotionally abusive, toxic, cheating. She still carries her issues from that, I believe. One time she saw him in the gym and had to leave due to anxiety. Well, there you go. Her parents very supportive. They got married very young because the mom got pregnant. Dad also suffers from mental health, I believe. There you go. I don't Clutch, I don't have the cable with me right now. I'd have to run downstairs. It's going to take me 5 minutes. So I'm going to wait on that. I'm coping not having AC. Is it that hot where you're at? I'm getting excited about moving back to California. I just had a friend come back from the States, and they were saying how great it was. They were saying they felt like everything's wide open in California, that they were going to concerts and different things. Although I'm not a very big concert person, I'm more of a sporting event person. Yeah, I'm getting excited. I'll be there at the end of November. Things are gonna get on deck quick. There's a good chance, Brett, that this past relationship really put a dent on her, and she's projecting the idea that what she didn't get in the past relationship, you're doing. Brett, do you ever have a feeling of, I can't win whatever you do? I can't make you feel good. I can't do anything right. I'm being a tad spoiled. The AC just isn't working. It's not too hot, but it's enough to be annoying. Well, living in California and San Diego and, well, Northern California, you don't need air conditioning unless you live in Sacramento. I'm going to be in Chico, California. Do you live in San Diego, Chuckster? It's funny because the people that I just met with, good friends of mine, her brother lives in San Diego, and everyone just loves San Diego. San Diego's a great place. I'm gonna get this show on a daily routine though. Starting December 1st, we'll have it decked out where you can depend on me at the same time every day. Maybe have a co-host or two, some random guests. It was very hard to make her happy sometimes, even though she said she felt so loved and I was the best boyfriend. Well, there you go. So this is a common thing. I'm going to break this down for you. It's not going to necessarily make you feel better because you want her back and you want to make things right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Brett. You're a fixer. You're solution-based. Are you not? So there's people out there that are complainers. They're victims. They're whiners. They're on that scale of things where they can't fix things aren't going to work out. And then there's people on the other scale that go, well, I can fix this, I can figure this out, I'm solution based, right? It has to do with the kind of job you have sometimes too. And if you're that kind of person, you're looking like, oh, I can figure this out, and if you're teamed up with a girl that basically, anything you do can't bring her to that moment, the one time she felt so loved is when you got back together. That's a pretty extreme thing. It was just an emotional roller coaster because some days she'd be so happy and then the next day she was crying in my arms and I had no idea why. I like problem solving, going for a PhD in immunology. Well, there you go. So you're trying. I've had someone like this before. I had a client that was in her early 20s, actually 23. And great person, extremely good student, had all A's in college, hard worker, came to me about the breakup, was asking me for homework out of the live coaching session of an hour and a half. Tell me what I need to do. What do I need to work on? I gave her some tapping techniques. I did all these different things, right? And she just wanted to figure out how to fix this, and it was a challenge. It wasn't like in the name of love. She was going into all the psychology of him, and then they ended up breaking up because the guy just wasn't emotionally stable. He didn't have depression, but he had the jealousy, the controlling. He had issues with his mom. His mom had cheated on his dad or something like that. And I saw it all because she ended up getting back with him. I saw it all. She saw a challenge, and it was like a dog on a bone. She was all over it. She wanted me to help her fix the situation, and I was like, this dude's like 32, you're 23. He was one of his intense problems was, well, a lot of people call it body count, but I don't like that term, was that at 23 years old, I don't know, she didn't divulge this to me, but how many guys she had been with really pissed him off. he was shocked. She had 2 boyfriends, but she had a few more people she had slept with. And she was like, I told him the truth, and he just kept bringing it up again, and then she called her a whore, and he couldn't believe she did that. And she was like, are you bringing this up again? He was just angry about it. She didn't cheat on him. And I just knew, like, if someone's going to go there and they can't let something like that go, that's personal. And then when I said, well, what happened with his parents? She said, well, yeah, his mom had cheated on his dad, and he thinks, you know what I mean? It's like, let me be honest, Brett. If you really want to unpack this, bud, do the live coaching session with myself. I'm stuttering here. It's $125 an hour. If you don't find it useful and helpful in moving forward, and if you're open to it, we'll do a hypnotherapy section. I'll give you your money back. That's a promise. We got Jesse on here. We got a few other people that have done live coachings with me. If you don't find it useful and helpful, I'll give you your money back. But I'm going to tell you something. You're 23 years old. You get entangled with this woman too long, you're going to start thinking there's a problem with you. That's how this works. You're going to start thinking, maybe I don't do enough. When you get entangled with other human beings, you start to mirror them in different ways. And if you're looking at a PhD in immunology, that's fucking interesting, man. I'd like to know more about that. I don't even know exactly what that entails. If you get involved with someone like this, there's some people out there, you're not going to change them. Right now, I'm not saying this about everyone. There's some people out there. I don't think you've been on here many times, Brett, but I've been a teacher at a university for the past 7 years. I taught another one a couple of years, 11 years as a teacher. So I've just been around a lot of people, especially young people, right? And I've had students come to me and be like, I'm suffering depression. And you go, well, how often are you getting out of the house? Oh, I don't usually leave the house at night. Okay. Are you open to doing some exercise? Oh, maybe. Could you go on some walks once in a while outside? Yeah, maybe. And talk about some of the problems, talk about different things. I say, all right, for this week, can you just go take a walk around your neighborhood? Well, my neighbor's a little scary at night. They'll come up with the 10 excuses. You know why? Because the depression has become part of their identity and they don't want to give it up. Now that sounds counterintuitive, but the reality is I'm depressed. This is how I am. It's kind of like, I say my name's Mac. What goes along with that? I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. All right. I'm trained to be a clinical hypnotherapist, right? There's some things that go along with my name and my identity. Now, when someone puts part of their identities, I suffer from depression. Now, what if you change the narrative to, I'm depressed, but I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get over this because I know depression doesn't last. Now, I do know there's variances of this. I do know that there's massive depression and different things. But where I'm going with this is you're not going to be the one to switch it for her. There's got to be some consequences. You're probably going to enable her to feel that way longer, which sounds kind of weird. But my point back to some of my students that came to me, you could make, if you're feeling sad or you're feeling depressed, one of the biggest things you can do is get some quick exercise, right? Okay, it's not gonna cure you from your break. It helps. It's the beginning of time, probably greatest thing that you can probably do to just feel good. Get a good sweat, do some exercise, go for a walk. Talk to a lot of people that suffer from depression. They don't exercise. Surprise, surprise. They don't eat well. Surprise, surprise. They have some kind of chemical dependency. Surprise, surprise. But they somehow believe like, I was just born this way. It's possible. But I'll tell you what, Brett Price, you're not going to crack the case. And so if I were you, go into no contact for you right now. Because if you're going to train to be a PhD in immunology, you need all the brain energy you can get right now. And if you're going to go all in on your career, and that sounds like a pretty interesting thing, especially in the times we're in right now, infectious diseases, it sounds like that's one of those PhDs. You'll actually get a good job, okay? But if you're dealing with someone like this, they'll drain you. They'll drain you. People want you to feel like they feel. Always remember that. People don't think that, but it's true. If I'm in a good mood, I want you in a good mood. Hence, have you ever come with someone with some great news about your life, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. But, and then they just throw like a negativity in there. People want you to feel like they do. And if you hang out with people like this, let alone your girlfriend, it's like crabs in a bucket. They're gonna bring you down. And you think, well, I can bring them up. She's not ready for that right now. And not having you around will help. She used to go to the gym. Okay, so this is a good example. Great example. She used to go to the gym to relieve stress, and when the gym got closed due to COVID, it made depression worse. Because, well, when the gym closed, there's no option for exercise. I have plenty of other friends that when the gym closed, they used YouTube and did exercise at their home. I don't like that idea, but I'm just saying it's not the end of doing exercise, right? Was it, if the gym closed, is it possible to still go on runs in the neighborhood? I don't know. Or were they on full lockdown? Where are you at in the world, BP? Yeah, I've noticed that in my studies, seeing her down all the time made it really hard to stay motivated. It's contagious. It's contagious. You can actually, I believe this, you can actually go to a therapist, or you can have a teacher who has maybe good intentions in doing their job, but if they're in a bad mood, they're not gonna be able to be the best teacher or the best therapist, right? It's like when I do a coaching session, I gotta come into it with my coaching cap on and be in a good place and have every intention of helping you. If you're in a bad mood, or you're not feeling well, or you're punchy, sometimes I get people the first 10 minutes, they're not loose. How are you gonna, like, kind of thing. I have to bring an energy or an outlook that's not fake positive. That's not, hey, have an awesome day. You're going to be just fine, Brett. You're a good person. No, I got to come with a calm, cool, collective attitude that we're going to figure this out. We're not going to overreact. We're going to figure it out for you. See, there you go. I have a home gym and offered to have her come over and use it, but she wouldn't do it because she was worried about my family judging her, even though they all loved her. There you go. This is going to be an uphill battle, dude. So this is one of those things. You love her, you care about her, but let's just do a groundbreaking technique that I have revolutionized in the world of breakup coaching, in relationship coaching, and you can use this anytime as a test for yourself, BP. Okay, ready? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your attraction and intimacy level with this woman? We can even make the attraction and the intimacy separate. So what's the attraction level on a scale of 1 to 10? With 10 being extremely hot, with intimacy being extremely good, 10. Next question, what's your connection and chemistry, your conversations, your interactions, talking at dinner? On a scale of 1 to 10. And then on your last one, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your trust? And then you'll realize what it is that's keeping you in this game. And be honest from right now. Don't use this scale from, well, we usually are good, but recently we weren't. Just what is it right now? A lot of men stay in for good intimacy. It was a 10, but the last 2 weeks she pushed me away so much before she broke. Well, there you go. What was a 10? Intimacy and attraction? 1.5 years in, if she's in her early 20s, this problem's not going away anytime soon. So like I said, book a session if you're having trouble with it, and we'll unpack the whole stories, the ins, the outs, the nooks, the crannies. But the short advice, you're not going to be the one to get this to go away. You can get back together, it sounds like. I would, if you stay in no contact for a little while and you probably use the same mode that you got back together before, people like playbooks. They like to do the same things over again. She liked the fact that you got back together after breaking up. There's a real possibility of that. Where does that leave you? Oh, whenever you have a problem, you break up. That's the other thing I don't like. Okay? If you're building a long-term relationship, year 1, year 2 should be a honeymoon phase. It should be outstanding. It should be good, sprinkled in with a few issues, a few problems that you overcome. But guess what? I've had, let's see here, 3 relationships over, 4, 3, 7. The first couple years, you don't use breaking up. Breaking up is a last option. You don't use breaking up as a thing like, oh, like this is, we can just get better later on. Every time you break up, you break the rope and it gets weaker. I've been in North Carolina. I mean, give it a month, but give it 30 days. Stay off all social media. Don't contact your family or friends for updates. And you need to journal out some of your issues. You know, what do you really want in a woman? This is a time for you to explore who you are and what you really want in a relationship, not trying to figure out how you can be better for her. Does that make sense? Because that's what you're already doing. Oh, what can I do for her? Or what can I do for her? Is this an ideal kind of person you want to be with long term? You want to be putting out depression fires left and right 1.5 years in your early 20s? Good luck. I have compassion for that. She's really struggling. I do. It sounds like I don't. But 2 birds with 2 broken wings can't make one fly. And that's what you're going to end up doing here. You're not going to... You think like, oh, if I'm just positive, I love her more, if I do this, it's not going to work. There's something deeper there. Of course you're a fixer. You want to be a PhD immunologist. You want to fix diseases. I said it before you even mentioned it because that's the reason why you'd stay in a relationship like this. You get something from fixing things. You like the challenge. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were probably a pretty good student in school. You got really good grades. I was north of LA near Burbank for a little while, but I moved back to PA for love. Coatesville. Did I ever tell you that, Chuckster? That's where I've been before. My aunt was from or lived in Coatesville for a time being, so I've done a little time over there. Focus on your mate. That's the most important thing now. Okay. Masala family. Hi, coach. I never posted that video yet. Oh, my goodness. The Indian marriage girl. Is that correct, Masala family? Pinoy pride? Would it be Pinoy? Is Pinoy only for men? I have a good memory, huh, Masala? Straight A's, anything less wasn't good enough in my eyes. There you go, BP. Did I call it? You want to book a live coaching session, we'll get into it. It'll probably be the best 125 you spent all year. I don't know, sir, what to do, even though I and my ex doesn't see any future, but still my heart can't accept this breakup. Still, I believe that our relationship lasts forever. Well, you're conflicted. Your heart's saying one thing, but your mind's saying another. We think in 3 different areas. Think about this for a moment. We got our head for the mind, we got our heart for feeling, and we got our gut also for feelings. So this is why sometimes people say, I have a gut feeling, right? And so your heart and your mind are conflicted, Sawana. Right? It's not a rational move for you to stay with this person. But the reality is your heart is still with this person. That's tough. I've been there before. It takes time. Right? Your heart's not going to change the rationale. And if I had to bet, your gut's telling you move on. But what we really want when we make decisions is for everything to line up. With breakups, it usually is really tough to do. Because even if we know that person's bad for us, if we love them, we have pity. We have emotions. We have thoughts. And that's why going into no contact, talking to some other people, but staying away from that person for a time being is the only way to rehabilitate your heart. Think about that for a moment, right? You break your arm, you put it in a cast, you stay from using your arm for 6 weeks, the doctor says, and then they check it again. It's like when you break up, you got to stay off your heart with this person for a little bit. It's very difficult because whenever she wasn't depressed, our relationship was about as perfect as it can get. Her friends would say that we had the kind of relationship people strive for. Well, that doesn't mean that's not possible in the future, but right now it's not possible with you overcompensating by, how can I make you know that I love you more, right? She's got to get to the roots of what's making her depressed, and she's probably not going to share that with you. And you're not going to know the right questions to ask to get there. I hope when she heals, she can see how good we were for each other. Well, that's a good way to look at it. Give her the time and space to do so. Because this is the thing about depression. Even I have trouble with it because, thanks, Chuckster. Even I have trouble with it because I've had depressed moments in my life. I even had, I'd say a few months after a bad breakup years back that I was depressed. But I wouldn't accept it. And I never dealt with it long term when I was a kid or anything like that. I definitely had sad moments, though. I definitely was hurt. But suffering from full-on depression, I haven't. So it can seem like I'm insensitive. Like, hey, just go exercise. Hey, do this. And they're like, no, doesn't work. Right? And so I'm just telling you, even if you're in this relationship and you go to counseling with her and you might say a wrong thing and she jumps on you and you're like, what the hell? I didn't know that. It's like that exercise example, right? Oh, I can't exercise if I can't go to the gym. And you're like, well, I got a home gym. We got another option here. You're gonna be running into brick walls with this woman. I know, I have it on deck. The video's already printed. It's already ready too. In sickness and in health, perfect relationship isn't that marriage value? Not when someone's saying you can't help me and I need to work on this on my own. We have to bleed out the past and callous it for the future. Nice one, Jesse. Yeah, the last 2 weeks before the breakup, I smothered her. I noticed she was pulling away, so I would call her. So it's called overcompensation. People do it all the time. It's counterintuitive, right? It's like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing if you're restricted from. I had a detox earlier this year that I did with no sugar, no coffee, and I'm not a sugar person. I got off the detox. I was eating cake for 3 days, right? You come out of the desert for a long run and you want, 2 gallons of water. You're overcompensating. It's not balanced. I would call her so much and make sure she was doing okay and even stayed a couple nights at her place. It's funny, Masala, I just had a client of mine that's also Pinay, Filipino in America, that just contacted me. Really good lady. How are you doing, Masala? Because I do know your story, hon. Are you staying in no contact from the South Indian character that's family wasn't accepting of you, so he can, at 28 years old, he couldn't overcome his parents' objections to you? Am I correct? And you guys live in Emirates or Dubai? That's all on memory, by the way. Thing is, if a person doesn't want your help, you have to walk away. We all do this when we know it's going to go wrong. It just shows that we really do care. But yeah, you can't force feed someone help, right? Sometimes it's happening for a reason. Sometimes, I don't know about depression, but other things, sometimes people need ground zero before they can really make a change, because people don't make changes in their lives unless there's consequences, there's crisis, or there's a huge health problem. There's got to be a crisis or consequences, and then they'll change. They'll usually change. You're not a doctor. The first time we broke up, she just started going to therapy. She just started going back to therapy and ended again. Well, I would try, if I was her, and you can't do this now, I would try a different type of therapy or a different therapist. So, a lot of times people think that, I've had numerous people that have come to me for coaching, and I've talked to 4 or 5 other people and said that we really lined up well. So, it's like when I was at a real tough point in my life, I chose hypnotherapy to help me, and now that's something I use. And to me, it's a great modality. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. And sometimes, Clutch, who was on earlier, said he had to go to 17 therapists before he got one that he really liked, or 18 therapists. Well, one time switching, like I said, maybe switch the modality of what you're trying. Like I said, there's a lot of different things out there. But going back to it, it doesn't sound like, in my experience, there's some people that cling to having this. It becomes quite comfortable, because if you cling to an identity thing long enough, you don't want to tell everyone it was easy to get it to go away, because then that would defraud your claim. That's a danger in carrying something like this for a long time, is that you're carrying it because it's part of your identity, but also if you were able to somehow easily get it to go away, then everyone will go, wow, that was a little bit too easy. Think about that. There's a root here, though. There's something to this. And Rob wasn't on tonight. All right, folks, we're about an hour in. Is there any questions, burning questions, topics? Thinking about Masala family here. Maybe I can get this up right now for you. Right on, Jesse. Writemac.com, so you can, I'll just make you, I'll give you a tab right now. Hold on a sec. Schedule a session. Probably have to be, you have really good memory. Been in no contact for a month. in a week. My mom uploaded a photo of me smiling with my cat on Facebook. Then he blocked me yesterday. Well, he's going through it too, Masala family. He's going through it too. Are you feeling better a month later? On a scale of 1 to 10, Masala, what's your pain or missing level since, a month ago? Are you feeling better? Is there progress, Masala family? Pinay? Yeah, I'll get that up right after this live stream. I'll put it up. It's on deck. I think it's titled Indian Marriage. Let me ask you this. You've been a month in no contact, Masala family. Has there been anything where you're starting to process maybe this is actually a good thing, because if his parents won't accept me now, they'll never accept me, and this will always be a problem, and I don't want to be having to win over someone's parents, especially if they have a high regard for their parents. Brett, there's no measurement here. If you need a finish line, go with 30 days like Jesse mentioned earlier. But she's going to reach out to you if I had to guess. If you go all in on no contact, she's going to reach out to you most likely. So, but do not reach out to her. If you want her back, which I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know all the details. I think you need more time to process. Then stay in no contact. You need to show her what it's like to not be with you. She needs to miss you. She needs to value you. She can only do that if she doesn't have you. That's just how human nature works. Scarcity is attractive, and the minute you call her, you just reinforce that you're always there, and if she ever wants to come back, she can. Just concentrate on the 30 days and then make the decision in 30 days if you want to call her or not. See how you feel. Don't decide now. Wait till you're 30 days in. 30 days doesn't mean anything. So 30 days is just a finish line for you, because you need a finish line. That's who you are. You like assignments. You're a straight A student. This is what happens with straight A students and people that are good, right? Well, tell me what to do and I'll do it exactly how you tell me. That doesn't work that way for relationships. That's why it frustrates you. I can tell you to do this, this, and this, and it still might not work out. But I'll tell you what I will do. I'll tell you what's best for you as an individual. What's best for you as an individual is to say, wait a minute, I'm not the flawed person here. I've done my best. I've bent over backwards to help this individual, and it hasn't worked. She's asked me for space. She needs to figure it out. I'm going to give it to her. Now, I'm not going to call her because I need time to figure out if I want to continue on in a relationship like this, and she needs to work out her mental health, which I can't really help her with. Now, the part you don't like is that there's not a formula here for a guaranteed outcome. So this is where people go nuts. You have uncertainty where you figured out how to get straight A's by writing good papers or whatever it was. It doesn't work that way here. There's a variety of things that can happen. She can get a really good therapist. She can get one that takes her longer. Most likely, if you stay in no contact with an individual like this, she's probably going to call you. I don't know from what you told me if this is a great relationship for you long term. And I would say if you do get back together, which is a high probability based on what you said to me, but I would need to know more information in a coaching session. You need to encourage her to try maybe a couple different kind of therapies, or keep working with different therapists until you find someone that really suits you. What happens a lot in the Western world, in the States, is you just get someone that your insurance suggests, and it's a crapshoot. It doesn't mean they're a bad therapist. It might just mean they're a bad therapist for you. A lot of people select me as their coach because you can watch 1,000 videos on YouTube and go, okay, I kind of like the way this guy conveys messages. It's all about packaging. How am I going to deliver the message? What questions am I going to ask? What's going to be my approach? It's going to be different with different people. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a day at 1 hour, 15 minutes. It's been good. It's been grand. Brett, I wish you all the best. Look forward to you possibly booking a session. If not, it's all good. I'm glad you shared today. If we get back together, I'm bringing her to you so you can help us. I like your demeanor. I would recommend that you talk to me as an individual first, not as a couple. I'm interested in helping individuals out first. You're going to have to give a lot to be with her. I would rather talk to you first and figure out what you want to do with Brett Price. Okay? That's just my approach. And I think that there's a lot of value when you're broken up to figure out who you are and what you want as an individual. It's very important for you at an early age, in your early 20s, to develop this. Because if you develop this idea that when you're in relationships with women, you have to give in all the time, you're never going to win. You're never going to get what you want, and you're going to end up being a doormat. So I would prefer to talk to you as an individual. Okay? All right, folks, take it slow. Be strong. Stay you. It's curtains.